Minions became almost as popular as Mickey Mouse. Minions first appeared in Despicable Me, essentially as extras, and overshadowed the main character. Their meaningless lines became catchphrases. But why do these cute creatures, sold worldwide as children's toys, serve the awful villains? And why do we love them no matter what? If you like our videos on the philosophy behind movies and TV shows, like this video and subscribe to our channel.
And so help me, I never want to see another one of your goofy bug-eyed faces ever again! What? Oh, you've got to be kidding me!
Have you ever wondered what minions actually are? They are a crowd. There's so many of them, and they never act alone. They are always together. As for the main characters, if you can call them that, they are a trio: Kevin, Bob, and Stuart. What do we know about crowds? A French anthropologist and psychologist, Gustave Le Bon, wrote an interesting work called The Crowd, a study of the popular mind. In this text, Le Bon discussed the soul of the crowd. When individuals are gathered in a mass, their psychology changes. They lose their conscious personality, and the unconscious impulse of the crowd takes over. Le Bon suggested that it's impossible to control the crowd with rules and law. Instead, it's essential to hold its attention. Making an impression and captivating the audience are the most effective ways to do it. Remember how Otto lost the amulet Gru wanted because of the pet rock? It seems that even the most trivial things make minions amused. Almost anything invokes laughter and delight in them. By becoming a part of an organized crowd, an individual descends several rungs in the ladder of civilization. The same thing happens to minions. When they're on their own, they express their individuality and personality more vividly, just like people. They are more polite and well-behaved, or maybe they just make more effort to show that they understand human culture. But when they gather in a crowd, they become wild, ferocious, and almost primal. Just like a crowd of people, a crowd of minions constitutes a mindless mass seeking a leader. We learn about this feature of minions in the first movie. Without a leader, they can't find a purpose in life and become depressed. They can't make any decisions without a leader. This is what a Spanish philosopher, José Ortega y Gasset, wrote about the purpose of a mass in his work, The Revolt of the Masses. It has come into the world to be directed, influenced, represented. It needs to submit its life to a higher court, formed of the superior minorities. Even the word minion, derived from French, means servant or henchman. The trouble is that minions decide to serve the most awful villains. As they attempt to earn praise, please their master, they inevitably and involuntarily lead him to death. And that pattern is there in all the movies about minions. While trying to do evil, they inescapably come to destroy it. This feature of minions makes us think of Goethe's Mephistopheles. I am part of that power which eternally wills evil and eternally works good. There are complex philosophical ideas hiding even in a story about yellow anthropomorphic creatures for whom bananas are the ultimate life goal. What's the meaning of life if bananas are a metaphor for never-ending consumption? Why do minions seek a leader and don't want to be free? Do these movies speak about the problems we are facing as a society? If Minions made you think about these things, you made the first step towards studying philosophy. Continue your journey in our course with our subscription for just $6.99 a month. The link is in the description below.
Kevin, Jerry, watch the girls for me, okay? Dave, Stuart, come this way with me. Come on. Come on!
There are two reasons why, when minions try to complete the tasks for their masters, they end up with the same results: getting them killed. Firstly, as wittily noted by Terry Pratchett, the IQ of a mob is the IQ of its most stupid member divided by the number of mobsters. There are multiple methods for calculating the intellect of crowds. Despite their differences, these methods all agree that the intelligence of an individual decreases in a crowd. When people are gathered in a collective, they become less rational and independent. Let's consider Norbert, one of the minions, whom the creators describe as an idiot, and we begin to wonder how minions managed to live that long with Gru and even save him. The second reason behind the destructive behavior of the minions is a philosophical one. Each minion is a form of matter organically striving to break the rules. Minions are real tricksters. They can't help it. These are the creatures that do not understand responsibility and do not think about the consequences of their actions. A similar figure of a spirit, which violates all possible laws, can be found in many traditional cultures and myths. While studying the myths of Native Americans, anthropologist Paul Radin suggests that a trickster is a very common character in myths and legends. In its core, a trickster doesn't have to define a constant form. It lacks distinctive character. This also applies to minions. In the scene where they are on the beach almost naked, just after getting out of the water, we can see pure matter that can potentially take any form. It is unclear whether each of them has any distinctive features. For example, why are some minions cyclops and others have 2 eyes? We don't know how exactly they are different from each other. Radin describes a trickster as a weak imprint of something characteristic of a human being. Radin also suggested that laughter, humor, and irony permeate every action of a trickster. Even in moments of severe emotional pressure, where people would usually be conflicted or confused, minions turn the situation into a comedy.
Oh, construction looks great, guys!
Ancient Greek comedy is the oldest comedy known to us. It has always been opposed to tragedy, a higher genre. Characters of a tragedy are usually heroes of myths and legends, and the events shown on stage have historical significance. Comedy, on the other hand, is an author's invention, and the characters in it are the rabble, enacting scenes of daily life and familiar situations. Today, we would call it the philosophy of everyday life. Similarly, today's stand-up comedians joke about the ordinary and the trivial, conversations in a cab, doctor's appointments, and arguments with parents. So many jokes begin with the words, "Have you ever?" or "Has this ever happened to you?" However, this kind of comedy is also a way of reflecting on reality and being critical of it. Remember court jesters who entertained kings. They were almost inviolable and could say whatever they pleased and even criticize the ruler. Clever reflection has always been amusing. One of the first comedians, Aristophanes, also voiced his opinions on different matters. He disapproved of the corruption in the Athenian democracy. He often reproached the Athenian society for faint-heartedness and its weakness for flattery. Aristophanes had the power to criticize whomever he pleased. Once, he even had to play the demagogue Cleon himself because the other actors were too afraid to get into trouble. In an attempt to defend science, tradition, beliefs, and rituals, Aristophanes ruthlessly criticized everything: customs, habits, Athenian politics, Socrates, and the celebrated tragedian Euripides. His humor was witty and ironic. Why then do we find minions funny? They are creatures who speak in a mixture of interjections and simple words from different languages and popular culture.
Steal me the crown and all your dreams come true.
Respect! Power!
Banana!
Banana!
Funnily enough, we certainly can't think while we're laughing. It seems that laughter is connected to reason, but in fact, it is an unconscious process. That's why it's so difficult to imitate a sense of humor or produce a genuine laugh on demand. It will always seem forced and unnatural. Freud spoke of the unconscious nature of laughter. He suggested that because some things are not supposed to be spoken about in society, a person begins to feel the urge to speak out. That's how jokes emerge. The things that society considers taboo are repressed, but the accumulated energy needs to escape one way or another to keep our psyche safe from overstraining. Humor becomes a way of freeing this energy. That's why we laugh, not only at jokes, but also find slips of the tongue, awkward falls, and the incomprehensible speech of minions funny. That's an effective way for our psyche to cool off. It turns out that banana and other funny words minions say are just a trigger, something that lets us get rid of the strain and pressure through laughter. However, minions, to whom our human culture is alien and confusing, show us who we are. They parody people, mock our cultural norms, and question these norms and conventions. Because, let's be honest, a person hardly needs a knife and fork to eat. We are used to things being a certain way. It's the norm. But if we look at cutlery from the perspective of a yellow anthropomorphic creature, it seems ridiculous and funny. Because minions are tricksters, they always test reality and question everything. For example, they question why aeroplane pilots speak to passengers at the beginning of every flight if they don't listen anyways. When the pilot's speech was replaced with minion language, people hardly noticed at all. What we find funny is closely connected to absurdity. Usually, the absurdity of a situation is either highlighted with humor, or humor drives a situation to absurdity. Kids are usually more likely to laugh at minions. There are no adult jokes in these movies, so that parents can laugh too. A child laughs even before a minion does another dumb thing, and this anticipation of laughter only strengthens the movie's humor. Laughter is like cultural doping, so the desire to get more and more of it is natural. That's why minions are so popular. You know what you'll get, a portion of absurdity, which is sometimes needed. Do you like these characters? Do you laugh together with Kevin and Bob? Share your impressions of them in the comments below. Learning about popular culture is not a waste of time, as it might seem at first. Thinking about the humor in Minions can help you grasp the patterns of contemporary mentality. Follow Ariadne's thread with our characters if you want to have a deeper understanding of the world. Start learning philosophy from scratch. Get access to all of our courses for just $6.99 a month. Follow the link in the description.